Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so happy to see you all. I'm really excited for our first combined event for STEP and ARP-AIRE grantees. So I'm here as one of your OIETA team members alongside the rest of my team, as well as your program officer, Dr. Linda Brake. So we're just gonna give another minute for folks to join and get settled. Please feel free to check in by sharing the chat how you are doing, where you're zooming from, which grant you're with. It's always nice to see all the different communities that we're representing here. Today's talking circle will really also be for talking. We are, introducing a slightly new format. So we really want to hear from you. So if you're comfortable, definitely feel free to come off mute during today's discussions to share your thoughts. And of course, if that's not an option, the chat's always there, but we do hope to hear from all of you today. And thank you for sharing in the chat. Thank you again for taking the time to be here. Hi, Jessica. Welcome. Okay. Hi, Mark. Hello, everyone. Okay. So please share where you're zooming in from, which organization you're with. And before we dive in, we will do the disclaimer. This presentation was produced under U.S. Department of Education contract number GS00F115CA with Synergy Enterprises, Inc. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, or enterprise mentioned herein is intended or should be inferred. And I also just want to give a heads up that this session is recorded and as usual will be uploaded to our to the OIETA YouTube channel. Hello there. Hi, everyone. Hi, Haley. Welcome. Good morning to you. I know it's morning for some of you and afternoon for me and some of us. Hello, everyone can see we are coming from all over this land. So today we are also joined by Dr. Linda Brake, who is the STEP and ARP-AIRE Program Officer. Linda, would you like to welcome us with a few words?
Sure. Welcome, everybody. I thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, wherever you're from. And I hope that you learn a lot in the next few moments that we're spending together. And be sure that you're taking some time to enjoy your families during this holiday season.
Thank you. So this is a quick overview of our agenda for today. We will begin with a welcome and a look at our new talking circle and office hours format. And then we're actually going to move into breakout sessions for you all to meet each other. This is our first combined talking circle of two different grant programs, specifically STEP and ARP-AIRE. So really hope to make some of those cross-program connections. Following the discussions, we'll reconvene, share any highlights, and we have a couple of discussion topics as well. Then we will review upcoming events and we'll go over any questions you may have. But of course, at any point during this talking circle, please feel free to drop in the chat if you have any questions, thoughts, comments. We really hope to make this a collaborative session for all of us. So this year, we are going to be offering a range of technical assistance to support you. Just know, based on the feedback we've received, and we really want to make sure that we are really serving you no matter where you are in your journey. So the first level is universal support, which is available to all grantees. For universal support, we have several opportunities. We have talking circles like today's session, which is a chance for you to connect with your peers, share ideas, engage in collaborative problem solving, and really make it all about you guys and not about me yapping at you. Office hours, which you guys might be familiar with, have been and will continue to be regularly held throughout the year. But now we'll be moving some of those grant management updates from talking circles to office hours. That way, it'll allow us to really focus our circles on discussion and collaboration instead of just me giving you a bunch of updates. Office hours will still continue to be a great time for questions or guidance, just like all of our other events. We will also have the training series for APRs and FPRs. This year, we are also revamping that. So that will be coming. And then we will also have special events that will dive into key topics that really matter for all grant programs. And then we have targeted support, which again is also open to everyone. We will do deeper sessions into specific topics like continuous improvement, data collection, program implementation, and other areas that you've told us and will continue to tell us are important to you. So we'll be rolling out our first targeted bundle starting next year, which is coming so soon. And then finally, we have intensive support, which will be much more personalized, whether it's one-on-one or in a small group. And this support will be really tailored to your specific goals, challenges, successes. It'll be an opportunity for us to work really closely with you on whatever you need. So we're really excited to have this type of structure rolling out. You all have so much knowledge and experience. And so all of this is to just really complement and enhance all the great work that you're already doing. So if you do have any other ideas for how we can support you, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to your program officers, to your TA team. We are here to help. Okay. So today will be the first time of our new talking circle format, which will be for the purpose of creating more integrated conversations between grant programs. Although you guys are in different grants, there are several things that overlap and you guys can all learn and work with each other. So we hope to be able to facilitate that with this new talking circle format. We will still reserve a small portion of time for essential grant updates, and we will give some of those updates at the end of today's session. So today's combined talking circle is combining the STEP and ARP-AIRE programs, which may not always be the case, but today will be these two grant programs. You can see a little map of where you all are located. The orange are the STEP grantees, a small and mighty group, and the red showing where our ARP-AIRE grantees are located. So you guys can see there's definitely some overlap and there's coverage from all across the land, which is really amazing. Okay, so without further ado, we have a good crowd in here. Again, thank you all for taking the time to join. So those of you who are just coming in, just a little recap, this is a combined talking circle of two different grant programs, STEP and ARP-AIRE. And we want to really take this opportunity to facilitate you guys with some cross-program idea sharing. So I'm going to put you all into breakout rooms because I know this is often, you guys always appreciate connecting with each other. And so you'll be joining a breakout room with participants from the other grant program. Hopefully, I will do my best to create the breakout rooms so that happens. I do think I know which grant program most of you guys are associated with. If you are new to the team, if this is your first talking circle with us, I encourage you to just share which grant program you are with in the chat. You can either private message me or message it to everyone. That way, I just want to try to, create good cross-program breakout rooms. So if this is your first time, that would be really, really helpful to me. But I do think I know where most of you which grant program most of you are associated with. So in this breakout room, I encourage you guys to just introduce yourself, share how your project has been going, any updates, successes, challenges, promising practices that have worked really well for you. And just, yeah, anything that I think could be helpful. We can brainstorm ideas together, talk about what's working. And we will also love for you to take some time to discuss your experiences with needs assessments and how they fit into that larger continuous improvement process. Now that your projects are underway, how are you working to continuously improve the implementation of your project and the impact of your project? This will help us shape our upcoming bundle of sessions for next year, and your existing knowledge will be really valuable in helping us make that be really useful. And this is also a unique opportunity because ARP-AIRE is actually in its final year. Well, it is past its final year in its no-cost extension year, whereas STEP is actually mostly just getting started with year 2 or year 3. So if you're finishing up ARP-AIRE, I'm sure you have lots of valuable insights to share about how to wrap up your grants and just all the years of experience that you've had. And I hope the STEP grantees can help bring in some of those new, fresh ideas to the table. So this is also, it's a talking circle with grant programs in different years. So hope there's a lot of fresh new ideas to share. Any questions about this little breakout room connections and insights time? Okay. So if you just bear with me for a bit while I create the breakout rooms. I am going to try to make sure that there is good cross-program connections here. Okay, I'm going to open up the breakout rooms now. Please let us know if you have any trouble joining these breakout rooms. And I think I have made it so that every room has at least one ARP-AIRE grantee and one STEP grantee. And after we reconvene, I will be calling on each breakout room one at a time for you to share the highlights from your discussion, things that you think will be helpful for the other breakout rooms to hear. And or if you have, any problems that you have encountered that you would want, the whole group to share ideas about, feel free to bring that. So consider when you go into the breakout rooms of assigning a reporter to report out and to share out when we reconvene. Not report, that sounds too serious. Just to share out when we reconvene. Okay, I will open up the breakout rooms now.
Did everybody move? If we could all sort of like break out into different rooms. So I can take
Let's start with what has been really successful for you so far with your project? I did hear a lot of discussion around different challenges, and just thinking about the challenges that you've heard from the other people in the breakout room, challenges that you faced. What promising practices have proven to be successful for you in your project so far? So I would like to hear from each breakout room. Just share it out. You can share something that was already shared in the breakout room, or if you have something new in mind, feel free to share out as well. Multiple people can share from each room as well. So if you would like to add on to what people say, definitely feel free to do that. You can also share in the chat as well. So let's start with room 1, which had Deidre, Haley, Paul, Gina, Ashley. Um, what is something that has proven to be really successful and helpful for your project? Or you can share out something that somebody else shared in the room that you found helpful and inspiring for yourself.
I think I can start and get the ball rolling, but I'd really appreciate maybe a second voice. Um, there were 5 of us, I think, or 4 of us, and the overlap between our projects wasn't that strong. But then when we were talking about challenges, specifically in building relationships that are based on trust with these either school districts or state, that the LEAs or SEAs, it seemed like we had all experienced the same type of challenge where you have to build the relationship based on trust before anything else could have been successful. And so we each had reasons where a relationship fell apart or where trust wasn't granted. And we were able to kind of build some ideas around um, authenticity and the sense of cultural respect, and in getting that shared ownership over the way kids are learning in our community.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely heard some bits of that. Could you elaborate, or if anybody else in the room want to elaborate on what were some things that helped you build that trust and reciprocity and yeah, that relationship? And this is between the TEA and the LEAs?
Yeah, or in Deirdre's case, it was, I think, SEA level because they're doing a charter approval with the state.
Yeah. Yeah, what are your thoughts on like what are things that have helped to build those relationships?
I can kind of share. I was also in group 1, and we've been really fortunate that we've been able to build a really awesome relationship with our partnering school district over the last couple of years. I did share with the team, a lot of that is rooted in the fact that we have now a superintendent that is from the community, that, and so that shift, I think, is as a large reason and why we've been able to create a more collaborative environment. But I will say, in terms of some of the practices that we've used, because there still was a lot of trust building we had to do, really just a lot of consistency, really trying to set some sort of weekly meeting, really be curious and kind of just offer up as many solutions as, not even solutions, but just support as much as possible. We know our school districts, are needing additional help. And so really just focused on trying to be solution oriented and supporting them based off of the needs that they have identified. And then having, our needs, right, as the tribal education agency, kind of then be like the follow-up to that. And then, yeah, and just being really consistent about, the follow-up and what we had promised to do. And that just really, I think, created a reliability and a trust, between the two entities. but that was, you know, those are just some of the things that we really focused on and have been really helpful in improving our dynamic.
Thank you, Haley. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, those are some really great suggestions and just promising practices when it comes to building those relationships. You did mention that it was helpful that the superintendent was someone from your community. And I know that, you know, that isn't always the case when it comes to the people that you have to work with. I don't know if anybody has talked about or want to share about how yeah, like in building those relationships, because I know that is a big part of STEP, and in some ways also a part of ARP-AIRE as well, but with some differences because STEP doesn't provide any direct services to students. They have to really work completely through that partnership with the LEAs and SEAs. Like, how has would anybody like to just share on building that relationship with an LEA or SEA with people who might not be from your community? Do you have any suggestions for promising practices for that?
Well, I'm Mark Haratzka, and I'm with Chugach. One of the things that I think that helped us progress with the goals of our ARP and our ARP language, I mean our program, was being able to listen to what the community was saying, expressing about their concerns about the loss of their language and the loss of the language and the culture. And so they wanted to sort of bring back the voices of the elders that were being lost through recordings that were video recordings or cassette recordings or written interviews that were just spread out all over the place. And they said they wanted to bring back the voices of the elders that were now dispersed all over the state. So they did a research to bring them all back here. So we came up with like over 200 some recordings and documentations that were collected years, I mean, between the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. And I think just bringing back the voices allowed us to be able to show the young people that this is the way we live, this is the way we talk, this is the way we shared, this is the way we treated our elders, and this is the way we treat our history, and this way we treat each other. So I think I was talking in our group when we were talking, they were talking about a behavior and attendance, which is a big thing in the communities right now. And we've experienced that here too, but I think it was just a matter of making sure that we listen to what the problem is, and engage with the young people, and so I think that was one of the things that I think were very pleased that we were able to develop as that, bringing back the voices of our people that are not long gone and finding a place where they can be preserved and used and by generations to come.
Wow, that is so wonderful to hear. Thank you for sharing, Mark. Yeah, that is. Would those become part of your curriculum kits?
Yeah, we have what's called a collective access program.
Mm-hmm.
Our language, our cultural heritage, which is stories, just items itself are now stored in this digital database, so that, and it was designed for the teachers from all over the state, all over our region. If they were teaching us something that pertained to this subject, they were able to find it in our database and use that information. So the teachers in the communities now will have access to some of these stories and there's a lot of ways that we're using that. So it's just preserving our history and having a place where people that they wanted, our community that we're at Port Graham wanted all this information available, accessible to people who could benefit from them.
That's really wonderful. Yeah, to have like a digital database that could be accessible and used. That's really great. Is that a publicly available database?
Yes, we have cultural heritage kits, and
Mhm.
it's available. And let's see, maybe Paul will. Paul, can you put that on chat? Our website. Paul is my director, and it's really great to work with a Sukhbak professional. I'm from the
Yeah.
Nipik part, but we have the same orthography.
Yeah, I think we have quite a number of Alaskan charities in this group here today too. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, so both of you talked about, the importance of really listening and hearing what they need and what your communities need. So that does actually remind us about, needs assessment, which is a topic that we will be discussing next year. I'd love to hear from now room 2 with Carrie, Kim, Justin. And welcome Scott as well. We're just having a little discussion since we're a combined grant of just what are promising practices that have really worked for your project, or if you heard from your breakout room. So room 2, can somebody share? Yeah, so what are things that have worked really well for you? What has been your experience with needs assessment and understanding and hearing the needs of the community and the LEAs and SEAs, which we've heard is really important for building that relationship?
I don't mind sharing something I learned from my group, that some of the things that are being done are focus groups. So versus maybe sending out a needs assessment or, a digital format or a paper form or whatever it might be, actually sitting down with focus groups that might be youth or elders or various other subgroups and hearing from them, giving them a topic and then hearing back from them. I really like the idea of doing that and getting just more personal with that information. I think you might get more depth from something like that too. And so I thought that was a really great thing that they have going on, and like some circles of reflection discussion as well. So I think those give you some really great feedback from the people that you are serving and working with, and what they really see going on around them and what their needs are. So I thought that was a great idea.
That is very cool. Thank you for sharing. And, we talked about circles of reflection as a big way to build those partnerships and collaboration. But yeah, like you said, it's also a great way to get that feedback and understand your community's needs. That's a really great point. Thank you. I don't know if whoever shared that in the room will be willing to just share about how do you select those focus groups? How frequently do you do them, and how have you used the data from of course, like qualitative data is just as important. How did you use the information, I guess, from those focus groups to improve your program?
Hi, this is Carrie Picard with the Nez Tribe. What we did with our elders is we looked at our circle of elders and plus our elder advisory board, and we asked them who would want to participate in these focus groups. And so we were actually able to get a list of elders who were willing to participate. And of course, with our tribal general fund, we were able to provide food for them when they came in, and and then with our adult group, what we did is we did a focus group with our tribal managers within the tribe to provide us with input. And then we randomly worked through, we randomly pulled names for our youth focus groups with the 2 schools we have formal working agreements with on youth to participate. And so when they came in, and I recently just did, so our results were shared with an independent evaluator who's able to bring it together and provide common themes with all 3 focus groups. What I recently did is shared the results of a youth account, a youth group and its matching elders within that same community. And I shared their results with them. I brought them together so they were able to see what they had in common regarding to the needs of the community. Another thing that we also did other than circles of reflection is we also had our independent evaluator do community readiness interviews. With these community readiness interviews, they provided like someone from the school board, someone from the school administrator, a parent, a youth. I think there was like 7 or 8 different people that were interviewed to see if the community was ready. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well,
So,
thank you for sharing. Yeah, could you elaborate a little bit more on what you meant by if the community is ready?
they were ready, I guess, ready for change.
Mm,
Because we as educators, working under the Tribal Department of Education, we knew and seen that there needs to be a consultation with the tribes and the schools. And so some of these questions were geared towards, do you feel that the working with LEA and tribes are we ready for it, so to speak? Community readiness.
yeah. That's definitely something important to consider. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, yeah, that's some really great ideas on all the different ways you could, assess needs and get feedback and information from your community. And I do hear, and we have seen a lot of working with contractors for um, for this process. I'd love to hear just about your experiences in working with these contractors. Like, I guess I would love to know actually how many of you work with contractors for this type of needs assessment evaluation process versus doing it yourself, or have you had experience with both? And I guess, yeah, what do you think are, I guess, the pros and cons of each when it comes to that? If anybody can chime in with that.
Our evaluator has worked on a few projects with the Nez Perce tribe, and I really like it. Of course, we can get quantitative data, we can get net numbers and stuff. That to me would be an easy part, but qualitative data, I it just kind of opens my eyes, more so, more on a personable. And this is done from a third party, so there's no judgment calls. Um, no, I feel like we work well with our evaluator.
I
Thank you.
totally agree, Carrie. Keeps us focused. Because we meet, the Coeur d'Alene tribe is part of these Nez Perce project as well. And I just find it a very positive experience to make sure that we stay focused and accomplish the outcomes that we have set.
That is good to hear. Yeah. And Paul also shared, thank you, Chris. Paul also shared, yeah, it's a pro if the contractor knows the culture and has a good relationship with the community and can see the unspoken and cultural rules. Yeah, that's a really great point. Yeah, when it comes to, because, it's always tricky when it comes to gathering data from your communities. Of course, all of you guys, I'm sure, knows how to do that respectfully and maintain that data sovereignty. But if you're working with an external contractor, that's extra important to ensure that they know the community and know how to collect the data and do everything in a respectful and appropriate way. Well, thank you. Okay. So yeah, now I just want to open it up to everyone. Um, are there any challenges or problems that you have encountered that you would just like to give to the whole group to see if there's any brainstorming that we can do as a whole group together? All of you bring just so much knowledge and experience. So just opening up to the group, anything that you would like for the whole group to chime in on and provide some suggestions for.
Well, one of the things that we did, we were having a difficult time was trying to make connections to individual elders that maybe had a story or a video or some information that pertained to a past recording or information, was trying to get all those things together from 20 different directions. And when you're within a region as large as ours, and you have communication issues such as telephone and internet outages and power outages, and the time it's taken to be able to do that. I know with our department, we were trying to be a more collaborative and work together. And so with this, we have a language summit that's coming up in February. It's going to be 2 days, and so we're bringing all the elder speakers into Anchorage, and they'll all be here together, sitting in one room, along with the young people. And so since our director is we're looking towards collaborative efforts between programs. So I got the bright idea that, hey, why can we keep these elders 2 or 3 days extra after the language summit is, and we'll put all this information on the table and say, let's have fun, listen to the stories, you interpret for us in English what this is all about, so we can put that data information into our database, and it'll be there for everyone. So by collaborative working with other programs, we were able to assemble a group, and now we're calling it our language workshop, or a living language workshop. Working together, collaboration with other programs.
Wow, that sounds like a really wonderful idea. It doesn't sound like maybe I missed it, but were you having any challenges with this, or is this something that's been going pretty well? It's sounds like a great idea.
What was that? We're having problems with what?
Oh, were you having any problems with this process of getting all the elders to the summit and um and having them help, well, incorporating that into your database?
Well, I think elders, when they do listening to stories and listen to tapes and things like that, they always like to work in a small group.
Mm.
And one of the challenges we had at the very beginning of this living language program was COVID came, and it stopped everything. We couldn't get people to work in the communities to work together face to face, and there were state and regional and company policies that had information about that. So we weren't able to get a lot of work done during that time. But now because we are just by bringing them all on and sitting around the table, and we get umpteen get umpteen feedback on what the story is about and what this information, how this information is really important. It's just getting them together in one place.
Yeah, no, I imagine that must have been a challenge, but it sounds like it's going really well now.
And it's gonna work together for us too, because we don't have to bear that. I mean, they're like the the language summit is being funded by the company. And our living language activity with the elders is being funded by our living language grant. And we're gonna be able to accomplish one of the last big goals of the grant by having them assembled here and getting the information translated and identified. So it's good. Thank you
Yeah,
for letting me
that's
share.
really no, thank you. That's really wonderful to hear it. I definitely see this a theme of, the power of just gathering people together. I've heard like mentions of using food. Of course, food can't be funded with this grant's money, but like using, if you have the funds from other places, using food to bring people together, using these summits to bring people together. Yeah, it's really, really great things. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, anybody else? Are there any challenges or problems you're encountering that you would love to just pitch out there and see if we can come up with some ideas together? Hey. It sounds like you guys hopefully got a lot of that during the breakout rooms. Again, thank you all for sharing so much of all the things that have been working for you, have been successful, and your experiences with, getting with needs assessment and just getting understanding your community's needs. And now I just want with just a couple minutes with just thinking about, of course, all of our projects have the goal of helping Native students achieve academic readiness, along with, many, many other goals. But I would love to just hear, what are your thoughts and what have you learned about how your community, your students achieve that academic readiness? What are your perspectives and strategies for this? Thank you. Yeah, collaborative land-based learning is a way. Would you like to share a little bit more about what your project has done in this sphere? It's really exciting.
Sure. We took a heavy focus on teaching the Coeur d'Alene youth their own history, but through land-based learning. So our summer program very, very quickly looks a bit like the first day of the week, they have someone come in and deliver, like, I don't want to use the word lecture, but lecture is the only word I can think of right now. And then throughout the week, they will go on one or multiple land experiences related to what they heard the speaker talk about and make those connections and be in the place where that historical event happened. What I meant by the collaborative piece is we had some teachers join us as well this year, and everyone's learning together. So although Dr. Meyer and I kind of spend ages researching and putting the curriculum together, we all still learn when we're out with the kids. So we're learning from tribal experts, we're learning from scientists, we're learning from the students. And that's what is so different for many of them from their school experience, is having this collaborative approach that everybody's a learner and learning together. And they can voice their thoughts and they can share in the conversation, and they don't often get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, that is such a good point. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, your program is definitely a really great example of using that to engage the kids and help them become academically ready. Thank you for sharing. Okay, and now I just want to wrap up for our last little mini discussion. Here are some. Yeah, we would love to also get a sense of discussion topics you guys would like to discuss with each other in upcoming talking circles. So here are just some suggestions that we came up with. Not necessarily talking circles, but in upcoming events. And we also have a poll launch. We would love to get a sense of what topics would you be interested in discussing. So you guys can vote on the poll that should have popped up for you. If you do not see a poll, you can put what your thoughts are in the chat. But we came up with some suggestions, which is strategies for identifying needs in a community, which we briefly discussed today, choosing activities that work for staff and students, strategies for effective and intentional implementation, collecting data on program activities, and telling a program story through data. Please vote on the poll to indicate your level of interest in these topics. And we would love to hear your ideas as well, or your existing experience in these topics. So if there's other topics you're interested in that are not listed, there's a space to write in an answer in the poll. And you can also put that in the chat as well. And thank you all those for joining. And no worries if you need to leave early, totally understand. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today, however long it may have been. And thank you for sharing in the poll. I'm gonna just leave that poll up. I'm just gonna leave that poll up while we move on to some final announcements, but please do take the time to think about, which discussion topics, which topics in general are you interested in? And if you have any suggestions for topics you'd like us to discuss and cover. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute or leave it in the chat. Just wrapping up with a couple of announcements. We have the annual project directors meeting coming up on April 14th and 15th. Once it's fully confirmed, we'll definitely be sending out a save a date and a registration link. This will be our first in-person project directors meeting. It will be in Washington, D.C. So make sure that your budget does include travel costs to this project directors meeting. If your no-cost extension does end before November of next year, you're not required to attend the project directors meeting. But otherwise, everybody, this is required for all project directors to attend. So all STEP grantees and most of the ARP-AIRE grantees, unless your no-cost extension ends before November of next year.
And Inchin, if I may just add, it is required for project directors, but you are allowed to bring one other individual with you. So it's for all project directors and a +1 if it's in your budget.
Thank you, Linda. Yes, definitely encourage you to bring one other person, and that could be your project coordinator, could be a finance person, somebody who's heavily involved on your project. Thank you. And we do have future technical assistance opportunities coming up. And I do have a reminder for ARP-AIRE grantees. Your APR update is actually due tomorrow on December 13th.
No, it's the 16th. You have till Monday.
Oh, I am so sorry. I am
They
so
get
sorry.
the extra weekend. And that is only for project and GEPRA goals that I think they were last in April, that were given a 999. Replace that 99 with actual updated data. And then you are required to do another cover sheet just because it's a required form. So all I need are the cover sheet and the goals that were marked 999. And once again, that's only ARP-AIRE. Step, you've already done yours.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting my mistake there. It will actually be due on December 16th. I just put that in the chat as well. We do have office hours at 1 p.m. Eastern. Our next one will be in January, and then March, June, and August. And of course, you could schedule an appointment with us at any time using the link that we will put in the chat. You can just schedule a meeting with us there at that Calendly link here. And now you should see pop up on your side. Thank you all for putting your feedback for our future discussion topics. Now we have a second poll, which is our end of event poll. We take your feedback really seriously. So please, I encourage everyone to fill out the end of event poll to help us improve our technical assistance. Thank you. And thank you, Olani. Yes. Linda.
When is our next talking circle scheduled? I see everyone taking notes, so it should be very.
I'm actually not sure. Have we determined a date for our next talking circle yet?
I don't know. All right, we'll get back to you then.
Yes, we'll definitely.
Someone put in the chat February the 13th.
Yes.
Thank you, Alani.
You're welcome.
So that will be our next talking circle for STEP and ARP-AIRE. And it will be at the same time as today was, depending on your time zone.
That's correct. And we'll send out again the reminders and the invite.
Thank you for filling out that in. Thank you. Okay. And thank you for those who have completed the end of event poll. We'll leave that up and with the last slide. So thank you, everyone. Here is the contact information if you need it. And of course, if you want to meet with us, just go to that link in the chat. And please follow us on X at OIE Indian Ed. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is called OIE Technical Assistance. And we look forward to seeing you at our next event, or if you schedule a meeting with us. Thank you all for taking the time today and sharing such great ideas and sharing all of your knowledge and experience. We hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful holiday time with your family, with your communities. Get some well-deserved rest. And thank you all.